Hello. In the previous session of Digital Signal Processing online lecture series, we have started the unit Discrete Fourier Transform, its properties and application. Now in this session, we are going to continue that chapter only. And in this chapter, today's topic is properties of DFT. That means properties of Discrete Fourier Transform. In the Z transform chapter, we have seen the properties of Z transform like linearity, time reversal, periodicity. Similarly, in this chapter, we are going to see the properties of discrete Fourier transform which will decide the behavior of DFT. So let's start with that. So let's see which are the properties of DFT. So here the first property is periodicity, second property is linearity property, third property is symmetry property, and then next is multiplication of two discrete Fourier transforms, and the last one is circulation convolution. So these are the properties which we are going to see for DFT. We will see the definition of that and we will see the proof part for each and every property. So let's start with the first one, that is periodicity property. So first of all, let us see the statement part of periodicity property. So as you can see over here, the statement part says that if x of n's discrete Fourier transform is x of k, then x of k plus n equals to x of k for all values of k. This is the definition or statement of periodicity. Now let's prove this property. So according to the definition of discrete Fourier transform, we know that the formula is x of k, that is equals to summation of n equals to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into w and k, where w and kn is a Twiddle factor, or as you can say it is e raised to minus j 2 pi kn by n. Let us denote it as equation number 1. Now if we replace k with k plus n, we will get x of k plus n, that is equals to summation of k equals to 0 to n minus 1 x of n into w and k plus n into n. Now if we split these terms, we will get the next part as x of n into w and kn into w n raised to n. That means we are splitting this addition part and giving this as equation number 2. So our next part will be, we know that wn, that is Twiddle factor, which is equals to e raised to minus j 2 pi by n. We are going to use this in the equation wn nn, where we are replacing this and n with the formula. So we will get e raised to minus j 2 pi n, and we know that e raised to minus j theta, that is equals to cos theta minus j sin theta. Here our theta is 2 pi n, so that will be equals to cos 2 pi n minus j sin 2 pi n. So here n is the integer value, we can take any integer values. So for any integer values, cos 2 pi n equals to 1 and sin 2 pi n equals to 0. So this value will directly become equals to 1. So if we place this value in this equation number above, that is 1, we will get x of k plus n, that is equals to summation of n equals to n minus 1 x of n w and kn, that is equation number 3. And if we compare the equation 1 and 3, we will get x of k plus n, that is equals to x of k. That is our definition or statement of this property. Hence this property is true. Now let's move to the next property, which is linearity property. Now linearity property is very simple. It states that if x1 of n's Fourier transform DFT is x1 of k and x2 of n's DFT is x2 of k, then if I take a1 x1 of n plus a2 x2 of n, this entire terms DFT will be a1 x1 of k plus a2 x2 of k. Here a1 and a2 are constants. This property is very similar to that of the property of linearity, which we have seen in the Z transform. In that we have seen that if x1 of n Z transform is x1 of Z and x2 of n Z transform is x2 of Z, then we will get a1 x1 of n plus a2 x2 of n, that is equals to a1 x1 of Z plus a2x2 of z. So let's prove this property. So again, according to the definition of DFT, we see that x of k that is equals to summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 x of n into w and kn. This is equation number 1, that is our definition of DFT. Now we are going to replace x of n with a1 x1 of n plus a2 x2 of n, which will give this equation. Now if we split these terms, we will get summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 a1 x1 of n w and kn. Same way for the second part, we will get a2 x2 of n. So this directly indicates the definition of DFT for x1 of n. This indicates the definition of x2 of n. Now here a1 and a2 are constant, so we can take these terms outside of this summation part. So we will get a1 summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 x1 of n into w and kn plus a2 summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 x2 of n into w and kn. So if we compare with the definition of DFT, we will get x of k that is equals to a1 x1 of k plus a2 x2 of k. Hence linearity property is proved. Now let's move to the next property, which is symmetry property. So for symmetry property, we need to consider the real part of n and imaginary part of n. Same way we consider real part and imaginary part for DFT. So x of n equals to xr of n plus jxi of n, where n ranges from 0 to n minus 1. Let us give this as equation number 1. Same way x of k that is equals to xr of k plus jxi of k, where n ranges from 0 to n minus 1. Let us give this equation number 2. Now, according to the definition of discrete Fourier transform, we know that x of k that is equals to summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 x of n into e raised to minus j 2 pi kn by n. Now, we are replacing x of n with xr of n plus jxi of n, that is our equation number 1. So, we will get summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 xr of n plus jxi of n into e raised to minus j 2 pi kn by n. Now we know that e raised to minus j theta that is equals to cos theta minus j sin theta. So here if we take theta equals to 2 pi kn by n, we will get cos 2 pi kn by n minus j sin 2 pi kn by n. So using this, we will get x of k that is equals to this term. That means here we have used e raised to minus j theta that is equals to cos theta minus j sin theta. This term will remain same. Now we need to multiply each and every term with this. So we will get xr of n, that means this part multiplied with the cos part. So first term will be that. Then next we will multiply this minus j sin term with xr of n, that is real part of n. So we will get this. Same way we will multiply the other two terms to get these two terms. Now here we are getting j square. Now the value of j square is minus 1. So using these values we will get two parts, real parts and imaginary part. So the terms having the j part, we will consider it as imaginary part and we will split it up. So we will get summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1. The first part which does not have the j part, and the second is the part which have j, that means is the imaginary part. Let us give this as equation number 5. Now comparing the equation number 2 and 5, we will get xr of k that is equals to summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 xr of n into cos 2 pi kn by n plus xi of n sin 2 pi kn by n. This is equation number 6. And we will get imaginary part xi of k that is equals to minus summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 xr of n sin 2 pi kn by n minus xi of n cos 2 pi kn by n. Let us give this as equation number 7. Now how we have written this equation? So in the previous equation where we have got the j part, we will consider this as imaginary part of k, and this we will consider as the real part of k. Okay. Now for this symmetry property there are 4 cases. The first case is when we are considering x of n with real values. So for that x of n minus k will be equals to x of minus k, that is equals to conjugate of x of k. Second case is when x of n is real and even. So for that x of k will be equals to x real part of k. Third case is when x of n is real and odd. So for that x of k equals to minus j summation of n equals 0 to n minus 1 xr of n into sin 2 pi kn by n. And the fourth case is when x of n is purely imaginary, that means it contains all the imaginary part. So in that case we'll get xr of k that is equals to summation of n equals to 0 to n minus 1 xi of n into sine 2 pi k n by n, and xi of k will get equals to summation of n equals to 0 to n minus 1 xi of n into cos 2 pi k n by n. So these are the four cases for symmetry property. Let us overview that using one diagram, one relativity diagram. So as you can see, the summary of symmetry property is indicated in this diagram. Here on left hand side, signal x of n, original signal is indicated, and on the right hand side part, its DFT version is indicated. Let us consider that if the signal x of n is real and even, so for that its DFT will be even and real. Same way, if we consider signal x of n as real and odd, so its DFT will be odd and imaginary. Same way, this indicates the relativity of the signal x of n and its DFT version. That means if we consider signal x of n imaginary and odd sequence, then its DFT will be odd and real. Same way, if we consider the signal x of n imaginary and even, its DFT will be even and imaginary. Okay. Now let's move to the next property, that is multiplication of two DFTs. That means if we want to multiply two discrete Fourier transform, its DFT will give the circular convolution with the formula 1 by n, that is equals to x1 of k, circular convolution for n point with x2 of k. We will see the circular convolution and its examples in the next session. Let's move to the next property, that is circular convolution. So it is reverse to that of above property. That means if we want to find the circular convolution of two sequences, it is multiplication its DFT. That means if I want to find the circular convolution between x1 of n and x2 of n for n point, its DFT will give the x1 of k into x2 of k. That means if we find the DFT for x1 of n, it will give x1 of k. If we find the DFT for x2 of n, it will give x2 of k. If you multiply this, we will get the circular convolution. So this is the property of circular convolution. What is the formula for circular convolution? What are the methods to find circular convolution? That we will see in the next session. So here we have seen the basic properties of DFT. These properties may be used to solve the examples of DFT, and its statements are very important to understand and to remember for all of you. Now, in the next session, we are going to start the examples for circular convolution. These are the references. Thank you. Thank you for listening.